a story weaving the lives, crimes, and captures of 5 of the world's most notorious criminals. The nature. There are moments in history when the world pauses and asks a single question: how can a human being choose such a path? This story follows 5 men whose decisions shaped some of the darkest chapters of criminal history, not to glorify them, but to understand how society, law enforcement, and psychology were forever changed by their actions. Ted Bundy in the United States, Andrei Chikatilo in the collapsing Soviet Union, Jeffrey Dahmer in the quiet suburbs of Milwaukee, Pedro Alonso Lopez across the mountains of South America, John Wayne Gacy behind the mask of a cheerful entertainer. Each lived in different countries, different cultures, different eras, yet carried the same shadow within. Ted Bundy Whitehead Bundy appeared to be everything society respected: intelligent, articulate, charismatic. He studied psychology, volunteered in political campaigns, and seemed harmless. But behind that carefully constructed image lived a manipulator who used his charm to hide a deep lack of empathy. Bundy's crimes spanned multiple states, making him one of the first criminals to force American law enforcement to cooperate across borders, something rare in the 1970s. Bundy was arrested more than once, escaping police custody twice, which shocked the nation. His escapes were bold, almost reckless, showing how his confidence had grown into delusion. His final arrest in Florida in 1978 ended the pursuit. During the televised trial, one of the first in American history, Bundy famously acted as his own attorney. Trying to showcase intelligence rather than remorse, he was convicted and eventually executed in 1989. Bundy's case pushed the U.S. to modernize crime databases, behavioral profiling, and interstate cooperation. His legacy, unintentionally, was advancing law enforcement. Andrei Chikatilo. While Bundy operated in a world of media attention, Andrei Chikatilo lived under a Soviet system that denied the existence of serial offenders. Born in Ukraine during wartime famine, his childhood was shaped by scarcity, fear, and political oppression. As an adult, he struggled to form normal relationships, living a quiet life as a teacher and later a factory worker. In the 1980s, a wave of disappearances and killings spread across southern Russia. Local authorities were pressured to hide the scale of the crimes, fearing political embarrassment. This secrecy gave Chikatilo space to operate for almost a decade. Investigators worked under strict Soviet rules. With limited resources, behavioral analysis was seen as Western pseudoscience, and the idea of a lone repeat offender was dismissed. Chikatilo was eventually captured in 1990 after years of undercover surveillance in train stations and wooded areas. During interrogation, he coldly described his motivations, shocking even experienced officers. He was convicted and executed in 1994. His case forced Russia to admit that denial cannot stop crime, only transparency and modern investigative methods. Canjeffrey Jeffrey Dahmer's story is one of contradiction. Described him as polite but withdrawn. His outward quietness hid severe psychological disturbance that escalated. Over time, Dahmer operated largely from his apartment in Milwaukee, where complaints from residents about strange smells and noises were often ignored or minimized. This revealed major gaps in communication between police and community members, particularly in minority neighborhoods. Dahmer was arrested in 1991 when a potential victim managed to escape and flag down police officers. Investigators entering Dahmer's apartment discovered evidence of long-term criminal activity. The public was horrified not only by the crimes but by the failures that allowed him to continue for years. He received multiple life sentences and was later killed by another inmate. Dahmer's case led to changes in how us police respond to citizen reports and how mental health concerns are documented. Pedro Alonso Lopez. Pedro Alonso Lopez is one of the most notorious criminals in South American history. Born in Colombia, he was raised in extreme poverty and turbulence, eventually living on the streets. His crimes spread across Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, countries where, at the time, cross-border police cooperation was minimal. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, hundreds of disappearances of young girls troubled rural communities. Authorities struggled because many regions lacked centralized records, and communication between countries was slow. Lopez was captured in Ecuador in 1980. After a failed attempt to take a young girl. Once arrested, he admitted to a huge number of crimes, shocking investigators with the scale of his actions. He was convicted and served years in prison in Ecuador, later being extradited and released under controversial circumstances. His case remains one of the most chilling reminders of the need for interconnected databases and shared intelligence across nations. John Wayne Gacy appeared to live the ideal American suburban life. He ran a small construction company, hosted neighborhood parties, and even performed as a clown for children's events, a symbol of innocence masking a hidden existence. In the 1970s, Chicago authorities began investigating the disappearance of a teenage boy connected to Gacy's home. This led to extensive searches and interviews with his employees, many of whom reported strange behavior. Gacy's crimes were eventually uncovered beneath his own house, shocking the nation. He was convicted in 1980 and spent years on death row, finally executed in 1994. His case influenced modern background checks, youth protection policies, and better oversight of people working closely with minors. Lessons from the darkness. These 5 lives reveal a disturbing truth. Cruelty can hide behind charm, silence, respectability, or even a smile. But the world learned from each case. Bundy pushed the creation of national criminal databases. Forced a secretive regime to confront reality. Exposed failures in community policing. Lopez revealed the need for international cooperation. Gacy transformed safety protocols for minors. Their stories show the importance of vigilance, mental health awareness, communication between authorities, and better protection systems. The darkness of their actions did not end with them. It fueled change, research, and improvements that protect millions today.